Imagine a man standing barefoot in the dusty streets of Athens, challenging the very foundations of democracy. This man is Socrates, and his insights still resonate today, questioning our modern ideals in a way that might just make you uncomfortable. Socrates was not just a philosopher. He was a relentless seeker of truth. He believed that wisdom starts with the awareness of one's own ignorance. In a world where information is abundant but understanding is scarce, this perspective feels more crucial than ever. Modern democracy thrives on participation. We often celebrate the idea that everyone should have a voice, that each vote counts. But Socrates might have disagreed vehemently. His approach wasn't one of blind followership. He pushed for informed dialogue, urging citizens to examine their beliefs critically, rather than merely following the crowd. He lived in a time when the Athenian democracy was still young, but it was fraught with challenges. People voted on issues with passion, often swayed by rhetoric rather than reason. Socrates perceived this as a flaw. He warned that the majority isn't always right. History has shown us that just because a decision is popular doesn't mean it's wise. We've seen societies make catastrophic mistakes, driven by the whims of the majority. Consider a contemporary election season, when political discourse often devolves into a shouting match. Does it foster genuine understanding, or does it merely amplify division? Socratic thought pushes us to dig deeper, to question the motivations behind our leaders and the policies they propose. Socrates famously said, "An unexamined life is not worth living." This mantra serves as a powerful lens through which to scrutinize modern democracy. How often do we engage critically with our beliefs? For many, it's simpler to align with political tribes rather than challenge the status quo. In this age of social media, our feeds are filled with snippets of information. We click, like, and share without fully digesting what we consume. Socrates would have urged us to pause and reflect. He asked tough questions. What do you really know about your beliefs? Are they based on evidence or simply repeated slogans? This raises a significant issue. Can democracy function effectively if its participants are uninformed or misinformed? Socrates believed in dialogue, in the art of questioning as a means to foster understanding. Democratic ideals rely on an electorate that is not only willing to participate, but also prepared to engage deeply with issues. But let us not forget, Socrates was met with resistance. His ideas threatened the status quo. In 399 BC, he was condemned to death for allegedly corrupting the youth of Athens and challenging the gods. This historical moment reveals much about the fragility of democratic systems. When ideas provoke discomfort, the reaction can be swift and severe. So, how does this reflect on our current systems? Socrates prompts us to consider the role of dissent. Healthy democracies should encourage criticism and debate. Yet, many societies today are wrestling with political correctness, silencing voices for fear of backlash. In essence, we may be repeating the very mistakes that Socrates warned against. It's also important to note Socratic irony. Socrates often claimed to know nothing, positioning himself as a seeker of truth among those who thought they had it all figured out. This poses a challenge today, as many individuals and leaders confidently assert their views while often lacking comprehensive understanding. Modern politics can resemble a theater, where power plays out through sound bites and personalities rather than ideas and principles. By isolating truth to the realm of those who appear authoritative, we might inadvertently echo the mistakes of pre-Socratic thinkers, who failed to question their prevailing convictions. In contrast, Socrates invited dialogue into the public arena. He demonstrated that questioning could lead to collective enlightenment. Imagine a politician who engages constituents in meaningful discussions about policy, rather than merely delivering speeches. Such a shift could rejuvenate our democratic systems, infusing them with thoughtfulness and sincerity. Moreover, Socrates understood that true wisdom isn't merely having answers but asking the right questions. In our current context, consider the questions we evade. Are we truly prepared to examine the biases in our systems? Do we value truth over tribalism? Can we engage with those who oppose us without succumbing to hostility? Socrates' legacy is not merely philosophical, it's a call to action. His insistence on a life of inquiry can inspire us to cultivate not only our understanding, but also our empathy. Active participation demands more than just voting. It requires a commitment to engage, to listen, and to transform. As we navigate complex issues, the Socratic method invites us to adopt humility and curiosity. It challenges us to step back and reevaluate our convictions. We must become the philosophers of our own times, ready to confront uncomfortable truths that shape our reality. In this time of discord, Socratic wisdom could pave the way for a more engaged citizenry. If only we remember to ask, what do I really know? What risks do we take in pursuit of truth? And how might we reshape our democratic processes to value inquiry above conformity? Socrates challenges us to cultivate a democracy that thrives on informed participation rather than popular opinion. Imagine harnessing the spirit of Socratic dialogue within our communities, fostering conversations that bridge divides instead of deepening them. America, Europe, Asia, wherever we are, we each carry an echo of Socratic thought. Perhaps now, more than ever, it is time to listen. Remember, democracy flourishes in discourse, not silence. So ask those tough questions, engage in the dialogue, and let the wisdom of Socrates guide us through the chaotic waters of modern democracy. As we conclude this journey through Socratic wisdom, consider your part in democracy. What questions will you choose to ask? As we reflect on Socrates' legacy, consider how his method of inquiry could enrich our understanding of democracy today. What if we approached each political conversation as an opportunity for dialogue rather than a contest of wills? Socratic questioning encourages us to dig beneath surface problems, battling complacency with curiosity. When people engage in debates, it's often less about exchanging ideas and more about defending positions. Socrates would urge us to ask the uncomfortable questions. What assumptions are we bringing into this discussion? Are we truly listening or just waiting for our turn to speak? This idea is especially relevant in the context of polarized politics. Each side often comes armed with talking points, but the real challenge lies in finding common ground. Socrates believed in the power of shared understanding. It's not merely about winning an argument, but reaching clarity and wisdom together. Imagine a political town hall where the community collaboratively explores the nuances of an issue instead of tossing accusations across the room. This could transform the very fabric of our democratic engagement. It's about creating spaces where vulnerability is welcomed and where we seek to understand rather than dismiss. Now, let's talk about the courage it takes to challenge popular opinion. Socrates was famously put on trial for his beliefs, yet he stood firm in his commitment to truth. In a democratic society, we often see people rallying behind the majority view. But Socratic wisdom teaches us that voices of dissent play a crucial role in aligning humanity. What happens when dissent is silenced? History has shown us that tyrannies often rise when diverse viewpoints are either quashed or disregarded. Socrates' plight reminds us that democracy demands a careful balance between majority opinion and the voices that question the majority. Those who dare to ask challenging questions keep democracy alive and functioning, acting as the conscience of society. Moreover, consider the paradox of knowledge in our times. We have more access to information than ever before, yet the lines between truth and misinformation blur. Socrates would likely explore this landscape with his relentless pursuit of truth, urging us to scrutinize our sources and understand the context behind the headlines we consume. In this age of misinformation, critical thinking becomes paramount. Are we discerning enough to separate fact from opinion? Socrates would insist that it is not enough just to know understanding is key. So, we must gear ourselves toward learning how to think critically rather than what to think. This could reshape our approach to democratic engagement, empowering individuals to participate in a meaningful way. But this brings us to another crucial aspect: humility. Socrates' admission of ignorance serves as a powerful reminder that knowledge is a journey. When we approach discussions with an open mind, we not only allow room for growth, but also encourage others to do the same. This humility can be a game-changer in political dialogue, facilitating a space where participants feel safe to express confusion and seek clarity. Let us juxtapose this with the climate of fear that sometimes engulfs public discourse. In many cases, people refrain from voicing dissenting opinions due to fear of backlash or social ostracism. Such fear dismantles the very essence of democracy. Socratic courage to speak truthfully, even under the threat of punishment, highlights the necessity of protecting free expression. The challenge is to create an environment where diverse ideas are not just tolerated but encouraged. Imagine a world where differing opinions foster collaboration rather than conflict. Such an environment would shift our political dialogues, allowing them to evolve into spaces for learning rather than battlegrounds. As we consider the implications of Socratic wisdom today, we can learn a great deal from his insistence on reflective self-guidance. He didn't just teach philosophy, he lived it. His life was an embodiment of inquiry and dialogue. If each of us embodied this spirit in our daily lives, how might our communities transform? Consider the practical steps we can take. We might begin by engaging more actively in local issues, challenging ourselves to attend community, and asking the hard questions that spark genuine discourse. Start small. Perhaps it's a conversation with a neighbor whose opinions differ from yours. Or seek out mixed political gatherings where people gather not to argue, but to understand. Each interaction can be a training ground for embracing the Socratic method, where questioning leads to understanding and empathy replaces animosity. Ultimately, Socrates challenges us to rise above passivity. He reminds us that democracy is not just a system of governance. It is a practice requiring our active participation. It calls for engagement, resilience, and above all, wisdom, the kind that comes from understanding ourselves and others. So, can we invite Socratic thought into our modern lives? The invitation is there, beckoning us to question, to explore, and to dialogue. As we move forward, let us remember Socrates and the courage it takes to pursue wisdom. The future of democracy might depend on our willingness to do just that. As we approach the end of this exploration, I challenge you to reflect. How can you embody the spirit of Socratic inquiry in your daily life? What questions will you begin to ask that could transform not just your understanding, but your community? The path to a more vibrant democracy hinges on our ability to engage with one another honestly and respectfully. Don't shy away from the discomfort of tough questions, embrace it. In doing so, we can cultivate a democracy that truly reflects the will of an informed and engaged citizenry. Now, as you step back into your world, take Socrates with you. His legacy